All right. I'm going to start screen sharing now because I have several things that would be very helpful for us to see. And I've spent a little time this afternoon uploading several things that you will hopefully enjoy and get some good use out of. And of course, that's not an option for the screen share. Give me a second. There we go. All right, so your screen should be changing. Yes, if you were in the ACT boot camp, this is a different one because there are different strategies with the SAT. So if you haven't joined that one, you can just go to use the classroom code 3D25MQZ. I'll say that again. Just open up your Google class, open up your Google, go to Classroom and say join class with a code, and it's 3D25MZ, no, MQZ. 3D25MQZ. So if you haven't done it, you can do it later, but I'm going to show you what's there so that you all know how to use some of these tools. First off, I did post this morning, yay, I'm going to be able to do the Zoom today. So if something else comes up, I will put it there as well, but I will definitely use Remind as the main notifications for all of this, as well as Miss Epperson will. She'll send me her message and I'll send it out in the Remind. We use my Remind just so that you don't have to join two for these different things. All right, and then here is that welcome email. It has everything all laid out for you. There's the Zoom session codes. I hope everybody was able to get in without much trouble. What I like to do whenever I open the classroom, I go ahead and pick up that that tab that gives you exactly, and you can just click in and I will send that as well on Remind after I get it open. But if you're trying to get in before I do it, there's the Zoom code and the password. It sounds like some people didn't have to use it today, but that's okay. And then here's where you got the practice test from. So if you don't have one today, just bear with us. I'll try to show you most of what we're doing, but you will need to go ahead and work on that for the session that's going to be tomorrow. I tried to do it a day ahead of time. Obviously, my heart had a different plan for us, but tomorrow, Miss Epperson will be working the Math No Calculator. So if you would like to go ahead, she usually says go ahead and work the first 10 or 20. There aren't that many in that one, right? If you want to work that whole section, that would be fine because she's going to go over as many of those as she can, as well as giving you guys an overview for how the Math No Calculator works. It is definitely different than the ACT, and there's some strategies that we want to use differently. So make sure you're in tune with that. Whatever we use for ACT, we're kind of going to put aside, except in the English section. That's the section that is very similar. ACT reading, ACT English, and SAT writing and language. It's just another way of saying English. Those two sections are very similar in what they're testing for and how the questions look. Now, the parameters of the test are a good bit different. So we'll go over that in a few minutes. But just so those of you that are in that ACT mode, I thought it might be good if we stay in the same mindset with the English first, the reading language, and then we'll do the reading the one day next week, next Thursday. So what else? The other things I've put down there, you can either scroll down and see the things I've put there, or you can click up at the top and go to classwork. Either way, you find it. There is no grading for this. There is no time limit for this, but I highly encourage you to open these, watch the videos that have them. I've just clicked on the one that says more SAT practice, said see below, join my Khan Academy. Here's the code. You have to send me a message after you join my Khan Academy. If you haven't done that, you have to send me a message so that I can send the practice to you. I've gone through and pulled out ACT and SAT practice for the English section that I have seen on both tests. So I know these are skills that you're gonna need to practice with. So it's really good to get in there with that. The next 2-3 weeks, that ought to be your friend, is Khan Academy. Set yourself up. I'll do 10 minutes of Khan a day or something like that. Set yourself a goal. Another one is 4 tests. Some of you may have used it to work with another test. They even have, they have GED, they have the, oh, what's left me now, that military test, ASVAB. They have that on there. They have ACT and they have SAT. Obviously, make sure you click SAT, but they have all 4 sections. You're doing it on a computer. If that works well for you, that's a good way to practice, go for it. That's a great tool. I will tell you that when you're doing it, if you come back to it later, unless you save that tab, it's going to start you over. So just keep that in mind. The other thing that I like a great deal for the English section is something called Free Rice. Now, if you've been with me at any time, you guys know I like Free Rice. It's great for vocabulary. Most of you guys are looking to improve an SAT score or get a little bit higher so we get the bright futures, get into a college, something like that. You guys are already bright. So once you get in there with the vocabulary, there are, I believe, 60 levels on vocabulary. You may need to jump up to level 20 and see how that is. If you need to jump up another 10 or 15 levels, that's fine. Don't waste your time with it. But it is easy to go in and level with that. I'm not going to go over that unless if someone wants to, we'll hang around afterwards. I'll be glad to show you that, or either just shoot me a message. I can do an easy Zoom with you another time, or anything you need. I'm here to help. So the other part besides vocabulary on Free Rice that they added it year before last, I believe, and it's really, really good. If you change the area in there, change your section, I've given the details there. If you change it to English grammar, it is almost exactly like you're going to encounter. Now, some of the sentences may be easier, same thing, you may need to level up. I believe there are only 10 levels in that one. So if you try it, the first 2 or 3 are too easy, go jump up to 4, go jump up to 6. If you can do 8, 9, 10 easily, then you know you're gonna be ready. I have some information there for Khan Academy as well, if you need to look for that. You definitely need to spend some time outside of just what we do. And same thing, just go down. What I've done, and I'll give you a couple of little things here. Let's see. Who and whom. We all know when to use who and whom, right? Not. That's something that even if it sounds right, it may not be correct, because it's one of the English issues that we use incorrectly. You've heard it incorrectly so many times that probably you now think it is correct. So I highly encourage you, when I do things like this, I'm going to give you a YouTube link, and I've put the videos there that will help you through that skill. Have a notebook with you, watch it a couple times, stop it, take notes, write down the examples, and then I've given you practice. Some of them more than this, but usually I've given you at least 2 things to practice. And that should help you. If you're still messing up, let me know. I have other things that I can send. Just let me know what area you're struggling in, and I'll be glad to help you with that. There are a couple others I want to show you. Transition words, which is down there. There's not a video with this one, because the video I felt like honestly was a little boring. It was just basically giving you the information, and I don't want to bore you. I want to help you. I highly encourage you, write these down just so you have a concrete, something you can look back at. All your notes for the next 2-3 weeks, keep in the same place. Look back over them. The morning of, look back over them. If you can decide what the transition word is trying to relay to you, is it something that is in contrast? Is it additional info needs to be added? Is it a result, or is it a concession? Now, you may note a couple of these might be used in the same place, so be careful with that. But I highly encourage you to go over that. And I know what you're saying, Ms. McDonald, I know when to use those. Well, you may, but it certainly would help if you were very, very clear, because you're going to have a number of questions on this, more than the ACT. SAT definitely loves these transition words, and they're going to put them in there really close to make sure you know these particular areas, that you're really, really good with this. So I highly encourage you to look at any and all of these things I have posted below. I think they're like 6 or so. 3, yeah, there's 6 that I put there. The other big one is semicolon versus the comma. SAT absolutely loves to put a semicolon in there, and then it's going to ask you, is that correct? Is it not? So we're definitely going to do some stuff with that one. In fact, yeah, let's just go right here for a second. Let's go ahead and talk about that one, because it is definitely well worth going over right now. A semicolon, you guys know my classroom is right across the hall from Mr. W. Okay, Mr. W says he hates semicolon. They're obnoxious. Students should not use them because they don't know how to use them correctly. I will tell you, most English teachers want to see at least a semicolon here or there, maybe 1 per page, something like that. Don't put 1,000 of them in there. Don't even put 5 or 6 on a page. It's too many. But you want to use one to show you have command of the English language. Most of you know that on the essay portion, you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to show command of the English language. So if you're trying to show you know how to use the English language, here's a perfect way to do it. Now, if you do it, let's make sure we do it well, because if you do it incorrectly, you have shown you do not know how to use the English language. So let's back up. This is one of the most misused. I promise you, after we go over this, you're going to see your teachers. You're going to see your parents. You may read something in a book and think that's not the correct way to use a semicolon. A semicolon is used to separate 2 complete thoughts. Both of those individual thoughts must be able to stand alone. Well, that sounds simple. That sounds straightforward. Okay, not maybe until we get using it. Let's look at this. A complete thought, another word for that is an IC, or an independent clause. So if you have an independent clause and an independent clause, and the 2 ideas are linking. If I had, Chip has on a blue shirt, Kevin ate spaghetti, I would have no reasons to link those 2 sentences. But if you look at the bottom of the little example there, the man waved, the woman ran away. If I just read it straight through, those ideas don't really go together. The intention of that statement, though, if I read it with the semicolon in there, the man waved, the woman ran away. You hear my inflection is even different. That lets you know those ideas are linking. The creepy man, I'm reading in between the lines, but that's what we do, right? The creepy man waved and it scared the lady and she said, I am out of here. Okay? We've told the reader a lot more information than just the man waved, period, the woman ran away, period. We've linked those 2 ideas. Now, we could do that because we had a subject and a verb in the first part, and we had a subject and the verb in a second part. Okay? It must be able to stand alone. If the man waved, the woman ran away. Okay? Can I say the sentence, if the man waved? No, not unless I have a question mark there. And if I have a question mark, I'm not going to use a comma after it or a semicolon after it, right? So the word if makes this clause dependent. It is dependent on something else happening. If the man waved, the woman ran away. Okay, when this happened, this happened. All right, in that case, and I underlined before I put my comma there, but you would need to use a comma, because that doesn't stand alone. Remember, it's 2 independent clauses, and both of them must be able to stand alone. Well, we cleared it with the subject and the verb on one side and the subject and the verb on the other, but it's a dependent clause, so we have to use a comma there. All right, the one that I did not do an example of because I ran out of paper there. Let's just say that it said the man. or this is not a good sentence to do this example with. That's why I didn't do it truly. But if you can't find the subject and the verb on one side of the semicolon, if you don't have a subject and a verb, you cannot use a semicolon. You have to use a comma. That's just dead set. Those things are what we need to do. So that's why I wanted to go over that. That sheet is there for you on that Google Classroom that I did. Hopefully, maybe you jotted some down. The main thing to remember is right there in the middle. IC, semicolon, 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 IC, or DC, dependent clause. And it does not matter whether the dependent clause comes on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. If there is a dependent clause on either side, you must use a comma. That'll help you a lot right there. We're going to go over some in a few minutes. So I wanted to go over that one. It is one of the biggest questions they ask in the SAT. They love to test you on this part. So I want to kind of now move on and go on to our overview. And let me see. Hang with me 2 seconds. Okay. Hold on, I'm going to stop sharing for a second and then I can share something else. Okay, there we go. Now we should see something, SAT Bootcamp. If you would like to flip your paper over and jot down notes on some of these things, feel free to if you've got something else to write on near you. I didn't post this, but I will and I can. I didn't think about I needed to. I will post it after we do this Zoom. Let's talk about first. Most of us are either trying to get into college with a good SAT score, or we're trying to get the Bright Future scholarships. Please keep in mind, there are other requirements to get the Bright Futures, but I know a lot of you are very, very close. In fact, a couple of you got the 75% with the ACT, but maybe you want to try to get the 100% with the SAT. Some of you are right along the edge. I know I saw a couple people in the 1200s, just need a little bit, and hopefully these boot camps will give you that little boost. But I want you to make sure you know, I put Ms. Branham's information there. That is her email. She's the one who can kind of help you keep up with this and know where you are on your volunteer hours and what else, other requirements you may need to do. She is our point person for Bright Futures at Gaither. So keep her in mind. She should be your best friend in your senior year for sure. If you're a junior, that's still the case because you need to keep in there. It would be great if you took care of all of this in your junior year and didn't have to think about it in your senior year. Wow, that would be awesome. Couple things to keep in mind. 75%, you need to get a 1290. That is a combined score, and 100% you need the 1330. That changed last summer. The ACT numbers did not change. So I highly suggest you take at least one time both of the tests. Now, most of you have taken the SAT with our school in March, I guess it is, when we got to do it as a school day. So most of you should have an SAT score. So you're just trying to better that one. But if you haven't taken the ACT at all, I highly encourage that you do that. And if you need help with that, just let me know. I'll be glad to let you into our other group, that another Google page, so that you can see some of the notes and things and how to prepare for that particular test. Later on during the year, we will do ACT as well. Please know what your college requirements and deadlines are, especially since COVID. Deadlines have changed. They've been pushed back. They've been pushed up. The the numbers have changed, some numbers have not changed. It's all very different with every college. So please check with your college. Make sure you know the number that you're trying to get. Fill out your FAFSA applications, and I believe seniors are able to do that now. It should have opened on July 1st or July 31st. I forgot which it is, but that should be open. I haven't seen anything to say that it wasn't going to open. So that's just something you want to do. You definitely want to do that by, I believe the deadline, well, is normally something like the 20th of October for most colleges. But then it stays open until July of next year. So you have more time to do it, but to get in there for some of that certain college money, it's always to your advantage to be in there first. Also, there are tons of scholarships. Some of them are fill out a form. Some of them are write a paragraph, 300 words. Some of them are more extensive. Some of them are show yourself volunteering, show pictures of yourself volunteering in 2 different times. Some of them are very serious. Hold on, let me see. Let me read that little thing. Okay, no, it's not. That may be, Dylan is asking, he said his mom is telling him that the requirement for SAT is 1210. Unless something happened in COVID that I was not privy to and my guidance is not aware of, it is still the 1290. So I'll double check, but I talked to guidance last week about that when we were on campus. So I don't think that's correct. It could be for your school, it might be 1210. And maybe that's what she's thinking about. It could be for your sports. Some of those scholarships have different numbers, but for Bright Futures, I am pretty confident it is 1290 and 1330. So let's double check on that. Thanks for letting me know. I will check on it for sure. I just want to encourage you to be in touch with Miss Branham. Now, you all know we're going to campus as our new EDSB. She is still going to be posting things, whether it be on EDSB. You will have access to EDSB, but you'll only see EDSB for your grades at the end of a 9 weeks or semester, and for groups, from what I understand. She has definitely made a Canvas page for guidance where she's going to have lots of scholarships. So I would say check in there every couple of weeks. Some of those are so simple and so much money goes to waste. No one ever applies for many things. So please check in there often. I'll tell you a little story about my sister. Obviously this was a few years ago, but my sister applied for, I think, something like 23 scholarships. She ended up getting something like 12 of them. And she got enough money to pay for her Ivy League college. She got like $33,000 for her Ivy League college to go the first year for free. So please don't poo-poo the ones that say, oh, it's $2,500 or it's $1,000. They add up. The more you get, the more money obviously you're going to have, and every little bit helps. Maybe it pays for books for the next 2 years, if that's the way you want to look at it. But please take advantage of those. All right, let's talk about the SAT itself. There are 4 sections in the SAT. I think I just said ACT, sorry, but it is SAT we're talking about. 4 sections. The reading, 60 minutes, writing language, 35, math, no calculator, math with calculator. Those are the sections. I jumped to the writing today because the reading takes a little longer and I wanted to do this overview, but you see there, 35 minutes for 44 questions. That's the section we're going to be working on today. You're going to need to do a good number of these, 2 or 3 per minute, so that you have enough time to do the ones that might take, say, 1 or 2 minutes to do them. That's very easy to do once you get used to it and you pace yourself. Don't let that freak you out. There is plenty of time with that writing language section, that English section there. You might not finish every one of them, but you should get pretty close, especially if you've done enough practice and gotten ready. That's another reason why we wanted to kind of do this a little earlier. This test in particular, it was updated in 2016. They totally revamped the test. There were lots of things different. They used to have 10 sections. So now they've combined it into 4. It's more like the ACT now. The other thing is most of the things you're going to read, most of the passages you're going to encounter and problems you're going to encounter on the math section, they're kind of current. They're mostly current. Now, I know you guys were, in 2016, you guys were in what, the 8th or 9th grade, right? Something like that. That seems ancient to you, but in the test world, it's not. It is the newest test. The ACT has not been updated in at least 25 years. So this was a big deal to update the SAT. Let's talk about a couple just ground rules. This goes on every section. Please answer every single question. You don't know if you're going to get it right, so you may as well guess. If you don't put anything, you're going to get it wrong. Try. I highly suggest something I call guessing smartly. When you hear them say, you have 5 minutes left in this section, which just wreaks fear in the entire room. Trust me, as a test proctor, I feel the pressure. I hear it, I know it. This is just a quick little example. When you hear that, what I want you to do, let's say you've got 10 more to go. I want you to look up at what you've done in that section only. There is definitely a section, a test answer of the day for each section. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes not. So I would rather you just pay attention to the section you're in. Whatever you see that you've answered the most, you've gotten a D on this particular time, more than any other test. Yes, it's just by one question, but why not go with it? Because we're going to assume you've gotten most of the other ones right, and you're going to, okay, I'm just going to say D in every one of the last 10 that you have to do. And don't freak out on me. Do that first. As soon as you hear that 10 minutes, go ahead and do that. Don't spend forever trying to determine which letter to do. Just pick one and go with it. Higher chance of getting it right if you can figure out the most popular or the answer of the day, as the SAT people like to do it. Then I want you to go back and try to answer the ones that you skipped or missed or didn't have time to do. Okay, we'll talk about some strategies with those in each section differently, but in general, you want to go back and work the ones you can answer quickly. This smartly guessing shouldn't take you more than, say, 30 or 45 seconds, if that. So that then you still have, say, 4.5 minutes left to move on. So please, that goes for all sections. Never leave anything blank. Okay, let's talk about what we're looking at on the writing language. You may hear me refer to as the English because basically that's what it's checking for basic English language. No writing is done on this section. What you write will be in your essay portion and has no bearing on this particular section. The other thing I didn't discuss was super scoring, because most of you guys probably are familiar with that. If you make a certain score on the English section this time in the English reading, writing language, let's say you made a 500 on it this time, and then you take it again and you make a 650. Obviously the 650 is higher. You're going to want to use that 650. I can use any section, any score from any section on any of my tests within the same test, any SAT or any ACT, and super score. You can super score for a college. Ms. Branham will walk you through that. You can super score for your Bright Futures. Those are your tools. You definitely want to do that. Let's say you're just overwhelmed right now and you want to focus just on the math sections. And then you're going to come back to the other two. There's really nothing wrong with that. You'll have to take it again, but you know, okay, I got what I need on this side. Now I can focus on the other. Some people need to do that. If you have a lot of test anxiety, that helps. So super scoring is a real thing. It's a gift for you. Please do not read all the passages in the English section, and then you're going to hear me say in the reading section as well, but you handle them a little differently. All the questions on the 2 pages, answer them, you know, as you have your booklet open, you're going to answer them. Don't mark your answers yet. Wait, okay? When you fill both those pages up and you're done with those 2, then go do it. You'll be a lot more efficient. You just put your finger, okay, number 1 is D, number 2 is C, number 3 is, you know, just go right down your list. That'll help you move a lot more efficiently. It'll keep you from missing and getting off track. That's one of the worst things as a test proctor, when somebody comes in or sitting in their seat and they walk up to you and they go, I'm off numbers, I don't know where I am, and it's panic. You don't want that. Plus, you're using your time better. When you're going back and forth, you're losing time. So do the 2 pages sitting in front of you and then put them in the answer key. That will help you. If you need to come back to some, bend the corner. That's an easy way to do it. Then you don't have to worry about it. Just bend the corner. Then you go back to the bent corners. Eliminate. I cannot stress this strongly enough in this particular section, the English writing language section. If you don't eliminate, you absolutely are spending too much time. So the other thing I want you to do when you eliminate is completely strike that line through. Trust me, I've done the research. Your brain still tries to read those answers unless you strike that line through. Please strike the line through. Your brain is going, oh my gosh, I have 4 to answer. Oh my gosh, your stress is building. Now I've only got 2 to answer. I can do this. Now that may seem simplistic, but we all know that's what happens on those test days. So please take the extra time to do that. Doesn't take but a half a second, if that. The areas of questions on this particular section. Vocab word choice. There are less big words in the word choice or the vocabulary. It's not like they're difficult words, but they're tricky words. So you're going to have to be careful with that. Lots of transition words. Like I said before, please know when you use which transitions word. Verb tense, punctuation. What I mostly see is the comma, semicolon. The colon, a good bit, I'm seeing it less the last couple of tests, but then we haven't seen one since March. So who knows? Dash and hyphen. Okay, the reason I went ahead and put that there, I want to help you. Most of us don't have computers or keyboards that will let you do a proper hyphen. Oh, you know what? I just labeled those backwards. I sure did. That is wrong. The dash is the long one. Please take note there. I did it quick right before this Zoom. Sorry. The dash is the long one. And how I'm going to help you remember that is, obviously, you guys know I'm Southern. I draw some words. Trust me, if you heard some people in my family, you would think I don't draw at all. But a dash is a very long mark there. The hyphen is the very short one. So hear my voice. The dash and the hyphen. The hyphen is the short one. Hyphen is used between words. The dash is used between words, but they're between words in sentences. So there's your major difference. Please do that practice on the Google Classroom. Please know that one, and I will absolutely make that change. I did it backwards because I was trying to go quick. Sentence and paragraph logic. These are the ones that are definitely going to take longer, okay? They might be the ones you bend the page and come back to. We're going to talk about those in a minute. 2 things to watch for. SAT, more than the ACT even, does not like redundancy. If it's already in that sentence, don't say it. If the word it is there and you don't need it, don't put it. Don't repeat yourself. Watch for that. If that's in one of the answer choices, it's wrong. And when in doubt, guess the shortest answer. On these really long ones, the sentence and paragraph logic, that one comes into play. Let's say that you did run out of time and you had 10 to go. All right, and you went and you finished your last 10, and then you think, oh my gosh, I got 2 minutes. I can go answer 1 or 2 more. Go to your bent pages and look. The ones that say, if you combine 2 sentences, if you really don't have time, just guess the short answer. That would be my thing. Now, you want to guess the short answer as long as you don't lose any content. If you have more time and you're struggling between 2, as long as you didn't lose content, then we're going to pick the shortest answer. All right, let me stop for 2 seconds. Do I have any questions? I know I'm going over a lot. I'm going to stop sharing for now. Okay. All right, we're all on the same page. Good. If you will, take out your practice packet. I hope all of you were able to take a picture real quick so I can have all your names just in case I lose the feed. Okay. I hope you all were able to print this. If not, send me a message. I'll send it to you that way. We'll work it out. But let's look now at this. Okay, go to section 2, which is on page, is it page 16? All right, and I have to put on the old lady glasses so that I can see this part easier. So bear with me. All right, if you notice, number 1 is within the paragraph, right? And I know most of you have probably seen this, but I want to point it out, okay? It's here. We're just talking about this particular part. And in number 2, we're just talking about that one word. So why am I going to spend my time reading all of that? I'm not. I'm smarter than that. Those of you that know me well have heard me say, we're going to work smarter, not harder. So I'm immediately going to go to number 1, and I'm going to see it accordingly titled, no, he accordingly titled it American Tropical. Okay, so now I know what we're talking about. Not really, but I know what I'm looking for. Okay, he accordingly titled it, which is always going to be your no change, except on the A and B's or the, let's see, the like in addition to or in certain paragraph. Besides that, your answer A is always going to be the no change. So I'm looking at he accordingly titled it, or which he accordingly titled. Ooh, okay, that sort of is different, right? All right, but I don't hear anything wrong, so I'm going to leave them both there. Accordingly, he titled it. Ooh, I'm seeing a common theme there. I see the word it again. Do I really need to say it? Well, maybe I'm going to look ahead of where I was. And I read this guy, S guy, was asked to celebrate American Tropical in his work. Okay, Tropical America in his work. He accordingly titled it. Do we need that it there? No, we don't need that it there. There's no reason to. He titled it what? We don't have to say he titled it, the name of it, right? He titled it and go straight into it. There's your redundancy. Be real careful. See my big words here? Redundancy. There is no need to say it. The other thing I notice is my A has an it in it, my C has an it in it, and my D has an it in it. So I know for sure I am not going to be using any of those because they all are incorrect. The most to the point, concise and to the point way of saying what they're asking me to say here is, which he accordingly titled American Tropical. Okay, boom, right to the point. That is my answer. I know it is because it's clear to me. Now the other thing I do is I put my big old check. I'm going to show you in a little bit how that comes into play, but that definitely comes into play. All right, then let's look at the next one. All right, this is transition words. Everybody take 2 minutes and decide what your answer is. When you have an answer, go ahead and put it in the chat. All right, nobody wants to be brave and put their answer in? No big deal, we'll go over it. These transition words each mean something different. Also means in addition to, okay? However means because, or it's showing contrast. Although means despite, or that it's showing contrast. If you go look at my list and how I group them, that'll help you. And moreover says in addition to, okay? Because I know I don't need to say in addition to. If I read this sentence, that part of the sentence, and then go on to, it says, also, to avoid scrutiny, this guy painted the final section of the mural, the centerpiece at night. Okay, now I know there's going to be going something on with that centerpiece because it's underlined. It may or may not be right, but I'm leaving it alone for now. Okay, you may have noticed I do not stress myself over trying to read people's names that I don't know how to pronounce. I'm going to call him that S guy. Okay, it's probably Syracuse or something close to that. Sirios, I don't know. I'm not going to get myself bogged down on a test day with how to say somebody's name. He's S guy to me. That I'm just moving right on. Everywhere I see it, I'm not even stressing. You don't realize how much stress you take on when you're taking these tests until you don't have the stress. So please take note of that. Don't let yourself get bummed out and try to say the word and, oh, that's not the same one, or what, just call him whatever you need to call it to make sure it makes sense to you. Call him Sig, whatever works for you. The correct answer is on this one, however, because there was a contrast there. Now, it wasn't although, because it wasn't a despite contrast, it was a because contrast. So the answer to this one is B, okay? I have now finished my first page. Now, yes, I wrote other things for us today, but do you see this first page? Think about if I had the next page, just like that one, and I had checks all over it as well. If I was sitting taking my test, looking at all of these, and I had all these checks, meaning I got it right, I knew what I was doing, what do you think that does for my self-esteem? Boy, I'm through the roof, right? Now, let's be honest, you might not get them all correct. You might not get them all correct, but let's make sure that you're realizing it doesn't matter that day whether you really get them right. It's that you think you're getting them right. Because if the better you feel about things, the more accurate you're going to be on the next one. So building that just is going to pick it up. You know, you're going to have, it's going to build and build and build. Your confidence is going up, 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 not the stress bringing you down. So it may seem like a little thing to you, but I promise you, it does make a big difference. There's a lot of psyche things that we have to do on these test days. Please, I call it your big old check. Think of my southernness, and when you're taking that test, hear me saying the big old check, right? These two, yay, I'm good to go. All right, we're going to look at just a few examples of some other ones. Let's go to, well, the next one happens to be number 3. Let's look at number 3. This is a perfect example of whether we need to use. All right, first thing I look at, all right, I see, I'm looking at the words. It says centerpiece with nothing. That's my no change. Centerpiece with a comma is my B. Center place with a semicolon is my C. Or center place with a hyphen. Sorry, a dash. Why am I getting those mixed up today? They did give me some meds, so let's blame it on that right now, right? Sorry, the long one is the dash. That's the dash. The hyphen is much shorter. It's what we're used to seeing on a computer. The SAT people, they have whatever keyboard so they can make that long dash. All right, so I'm deciding between nothing, a comma, a semicolon, or a dash. Well, what's the first thing I know? I'm going to go jump right on that semicolon because I know if there's a complete sentence before and a complete sentence after, meaning it has a subject and a verb, then I might be able to use it. But if it's not, I can eliminate it quickly, right? So let's look, all right? If the semicolon came right after the word centerpiece, the next sentence would be, if it was a whole sentence, it would be at night. Is at night a sentence? No. Strike through C. That is not a possibility. All right, so then our question would be, oh, okay, then it might be the comma, because if it's not a semicolon, it could be a comma. So what I usually do is put myself a little dot. See how I do that right there? That means it's an answer possibility. I haven't said it was wrong. It's, as far as I know right now, it's not wrong. And I'm getting rid of wrong answers first. Okay, the next thing is I'm looking at that dash. Why do I want to put a dash in? You put a dash to build drama, to accentuate something you're getting ready to say. Let's say I said, today I had 10 people in my SAT Zoom. Dash 8 were seniors, okay? That might be what I tell Miss Wickham. And then she goes, oh my gosh, great. So we got a lot of seniors doing that. We need to work on getting some juniors in here, right? She's going to hear there was a difference between these 8 and the total number, because I brought that dash in there to make a different statement, okay? It's not when you want to take a breath. It's not when you would normally put a comma. There's a time and place. You do not use a dash all that often. I personally probably use them more than other people, but probably because I teach this and I see the reason to do this. I would say most of your English teachers who are really good at grammar probably do this. But in this one, let's see if at night is something that would be shocking or something I'd want to have drama brought to or attention brought to. All right, it said this guy painted the final section of the mural, the centerpiece, at night. Well, is it shocking that he painted something at night? I don't know. I might have to look back and say, okay, what are we even talking about? The ghost mural? Okay, if it's called a ghost mural and it was done at night, would that be shocking? No, that's the first thing I'm going to decide. Okay, so right off the bat, that he did it at night might be shocking. I might keep it in there for another half a minute. If I looked back and saw the title of the article, and I'll be honest, I had not looked at the title of the article till just then, because I've worked this one, but not in the last week or two. I kind of forgot that was it. But if it says it's a ghost mural, then someone doing it at night would not be shocking. I would have taken it out for that reason. But so then my choices are to just let it go straight through. Sarah, the S guy painted the final section of the mural, the centerpiece. Whoa, what do we have there? We definitely need to have that comma, because why? He painted the final section, parenthetical phrase. You can either put it in parentheses or put it with 2 commas, right? Same thing. I'm breaking that apart. I'm saying my teacher, Ms. McDonald, helped me with the SAT, okay? That parenthetical phrase information, it's not information that you have to have, it's good to have. You don't need it, but it's nice to have it. I like to think about it, it's a little quiet whisper, okay? My teacher helped me with the SAT. That's all the facts you need to know. But if I say my teacher, Ms. McDonald, helped me with the SAT, then I have more information, right? And I noticed that that's what this is. That he did it at night was not shocking. That was a statement. They need to have B in there. You do not need to keep going straight through. So I'm taking out D now that I've read it and I see. I take out A because you can't go straight through. You need to take a breath. That's not always your best way of saying it, but in this particular place you did, and it was a parenthetical phrase there. So the answer to this one is B, and I do my big old check. See how eliminating got us there quicker? Now we spent more time on that than we would normally spend. We're gonna boom, go right on. You're gonna do these quickly. Those are the ones you're gonna be able to do probably 2 a minute, maybe even 3 a minute once you get good with them. All right, look at number 8. Flip to number 8. All right, I want you to underline, when you have questions like this that don't look like the others, that you're just replacing words, I want you to underline exactly what is it asking me there, right? See where it says effectively combines? I love these. These are easy for me, right? What am I trying to do? Put those 2 sentences or ideas together the most concise way possible. Now, these are the ones that I would tell you, if you're running out of time, you would glance down and see what the shortest one is. In particular, this one doesn't really have a shorter one, and I wouldn't count that the 3 are shorter than the other one because there's 3 and not 1. But if one was 3 lines and the other one were 4 lines, and I was running out of time, and I was just trying to quickly go through and grab some answers, I absolutely would pick the shortest one and move on. That would probably be the right answer. I would say 8 or 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the right answer. If you have time, you want to read it and make sure that it is. So on this particular one, you want to read and make sure there is no redundancy. I'm going to let you do that on your own, but I'm just kind of highlighting. That's one of the types you're going to have. Effectively combines. Flip over to number 11. Number 11 says, at this point, the writer is considering adding the following sentence. So what am I doing? I am underlining the word adding. Now, this may seem simple, but on test day, we want to make things as easy as possible for us. We're working smarter, remember? Adding, okay? And then I'm going to read it. and see what it is. And then I'm going to go look. Do I need to add it? Yes or no? And you will notice the first two answers are yes. The second two are no. Okay. Decide yes or no. Don't read those answers. Okay. You don't have time and it's confusing. You decide first. Do you need to add it? Do you not? Now, if you're in between, you may end up reading all of them, but I would try not to if I could. Once you read this, probably it's going to pop out at you and say, no, it doesn't. You don't need it. Now, these are ones that you also are going to need to read a little more of the paragraph to make sure you get right. And that's the ones I say you either may want to skip, just bend your page and not do that one, come back to those, or you may want to do them as you're doing them so you can, you know, not lose your train of thought there. But keep in mind, you may not have time to finish the passages or the whole 44 questions. So keep that in mind as well. But that's what I want you to decide first, yes or no. And then once the yes or no question is answered, then go read just those two choices. Pick the one and it should jump out at you. Try to have a reason in your mind already, and then your answer should just confirm it. That particular one, I'm not going to give you the answer as well. I'm going to let you figure that out. All right, number 15, here's another one. Circle that one. Those are those transition words. If you know those transition words, you're going to get these right. But I believe there were like 9 in this particular one that had to do with transition words. So 9 out of 44 is a good percentage. Make sure you know those. Flip over to number 16. This is an interesting one because it gives you some kind of simple words, not really difficult. Remember I said it's not the big words, but we need to figure it out. It says, although advocates of organic food preserve the organic produce, all right, wait a minute, does that word fit there? Organic food preserve that organic produce. These advocates preserve. I'm not sure that I like that word right off the bat. The sentence doesn't make sense to me. If the sentence doesn't make sense to you, it's probably because it doesn't need to be there. I don't like that one right off the bat. I could see that one. So then I read the next one. Although advocates of organic food carry on that organic produce is healthier. No, that doesn't sound academic. Remind yourself, all of these passages that you're going to be reading are academic papers. They are not your friendly letter to your neighbor, your friend, something like that. They are academic. You need to use academic words. Carry on is not an academic word, right? Or words. Maintain. Although advocates of organic food maintain that organic produce is healthier than, okay, that could be, that's a possibility, right? Okay, although advocates of organic food sustain that organic produce is healthier, okay, maintain and sustain are very close, very, very close. This is why I say vocabulary on SAT is tricky. If we just broke it down, I bet you, and I just gave this as a question, some of you would have said sustain. Okay, sustain means you keep it together. You keep it at the same, you don't lose anything. Okay, maintain means you take care of it and you don't lose anything, kind of. Maintain means a little bit more. You have to do something to it to continually do it. Sustain it means just keep it here. Maintain means you keep it here and you do things to make sure that it keeps here. So it's not a big difference. They're small words. They're not hard words. These are 5th, 6th grader words, right? Maybe younger. But the difference in the meaning of them takes on a whole nother life in these. This particular one is C. You want to maintain. I would put my big old check and move on. All right, let's look at the next one. Well, the number 18, it says at this point, it's also considering adding. Pay close attention to that one. These are ones you're going to do on your own. Then let's flip over to number 24. Number 24. All right, this is word choice, but right off the bat, it bothers me, right? Let's look at it. It says, start at the beginning of the sentence, which happens to be, it's a long sentence, okay? Research on the, all right, I'm looking at, it also illustrates and also illustrates, two different ideas, but also illustrates or illustrating, okay? It's different verb tenses and different wordings there. It's different meanings of things. This is the logic where it's got to come in. Research on regional variations in English language has not only yielded answers to such life-altering questions as how people in different parts of the United States refer to carbonated beverages, soda, pop, Coke. It also illustrates how technology can change the very nature of research. Okay, let's start right off. It also illustrates, is this a contrast or is this an addition? That's your first thing. We've got to decide that first. Or is it just illustrating? It completely just does it. I'll let you work through that, but I want you to pay attention to that. It says it also is our A answer, okay? Or and, or but, or illustrating. Well, right off the bat, the three are kind of close. So let me go look at D is what I would do. Illustrating, okay? The United States, parts of the United States refer to carbonated beverages as these things, illustrating how technology change the very nature of research. Do we say illustrating change? No, we don't. That is a verb tense there that you've got to make sure you've got right. Okay, so D comes out. All right, so is it an also? I have two alsos and I have a but. Now I know and also are two different words, but they're very close. The other one's a but, okay? That is a hint that probably the but is right if those are so close. So I'm gonna read that and determine, and in fact, it is the but. It is a contrast there, all right? So I've got that one as a C. I do my big old check and I move on. All right, let's look in number 29. If you notice, there is a dash there. There is also a semicolon in C. I'm on 29. And there's also a colon. Now, a colon, the SAT does use, and I would say 2 or 3 times, 2 or 3 questions, it's definitely going to be there. Sometimes they're tricky with it. A colon tells you there's a list coming. Now, a caveat to that is one thing can be a list. So if it has a colon in one word, don't think, oh, it's not a list of a bunch of things. Okay, but if it were to be the colon, you would have to have a list of things that came after, or a list of a reason. You know, a list can be because I'm tired, because I'm sleepy, because I'm hungry, right? You've got other things in there. Lists can be not just one single word. So look for that. If you can get rid of the colon first, that's what I would do. The next thing I would do is I would look to see, can I use that semicolon? You know, is there a verb and a subject before and a verb and a subject after? Can they stand alone? All right, the next thing I would look to see, if let's say I've determined it wasn't, and I'm not telling you the answer on this, so I'm gonna let you work it. The next one, it says comma, but there's something different. It's got that dash, that long one in there, right? So we would need to find out, is this shocking information? Is there some drama? Is there a reason to do a pause there to kind of set it apart? I don't know, because I'm not working it right now, but I just want you to be well aware. If you look at number 27 right above that, it says to improve the cohesion, and I'm underlining cohesion and flow because that's what they're asking you. We're looking for cohesion, we're looking for flow of this paragraph. That writer wants to add the following sentence. All right, and it gives you the sentence. Now you must figure out where it's going to be put. Sometimes it's going to ask you, should the writer put it in or should the writer take out? But in this particular one, it's saying to improve it. The writer wants to add this, but he's not sure where. So this is another one that's going to take an extra half a second there. Spend some time with it, or either fold it and come back. You come up with the procedure that works for you. Let's look at number 33. Flip to 33, if you will. We'll go just a few more minutes, guys. It says, which choice most effectively concludes? So what am I underlining? Effectively concludes that the sentence and paragraph. All right. If you look at these, if I were running out of time, I would pick the shortest and move on. If I had time, or even if I'm just regularly working it, I'm working at it, I'm just going to work them all the way through. Let's say I'm on number 33 and I got 15 minutes left. I know I'm good. So the first one I would actually look at is the one that it is. Itself a rich source of data or helpful to researchers. Well, off the bat, those two things don't say the same thing. So I need to read above in the sentence. It says, as interesting as Russ's findings are, though their true value lies in their reminder that the internet is not merely a sophisticated tool for collecting data, but also itself a rich source of data. Did I hear redundancy? As I said the word itself, I did. Okay, so that makes me worry a little bit, but it doesn't say helpful to researchers. Okay, so I know it can't be helpful to researchers. Right off the bat, I'm getting rid of that one. Now, the two other ones are long, which I know means they're probably not going to be right. Where we can learn what terms people use to refer to soft drinks. Okay, collecting data is so that we know how to use what names people use for soft drinks. That doesn't even make sense. Why would we spend money on that? Maybe Coke does, but we in particular, that's not, I wouldn't think you'd spend tons of money to find that out. A useful way to stay connected to friends, family, and colleagues. Well, there's another one. That one doesn't mean anything like what was before us. So guess what? While I wasn't sure I liked that itself, a rich source of data, it is way better than the other three. So I am picking A, no change on that one. So the shortest doesn't always have to be. Remember I said the shortest and you don't lose anything. When we said helpful to researchers, it was not the same thing as what they had before. So we had to stick with what they had. Number 34, mark that one as a tricky one. It's not hard, but you're going to need to make sure you have the right verb tense there. That one may get you. That one may be tricky. Number 35, I see there are 2 dashes. And I see there is a semicolon, and then, let's see, 35, and a comma. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is go look at the semicolon and the comma. Because see, I know that one. That's the one I know quick. Is there a verb and a subject before? Is there a verb and subject afterward? First thing I'm going to do is go look. Oops, okay. I figure out whatever that is. And then I'm going to go look at the other ones. The elements. Colon. Remember I said it means there's a name coming up. The settings, characters, and plots that make each game unique. Or elements. The setting, characters, and plots that make each game unique. Okay. Guess what? You had a list there, but the list didn't end. Like, look at B. It went right on into it. If you had a list within a sentence, would you keep right on going with that flow of sentences? No. The elements, okay, here comes a list, the settings, the characters, and plots, that do something, okay? We would never do that. So I know B is not correct for that reason. If you have a list, then you have a list, and you don't have a list and then explain it. You'd start another sentence to explain it. So now I'm liking maybe that C, all right? It says elements dash the settings, characters, and plots that make each game unique, dash. This is another time that you can use a dash, and that's why I wanted to highlight this one. It would be used just like a parenthetical phrase, a comma on either side, or a pair of parentheses on the side. That's secret little information that you don't have to have, but it's nice to have. So watch that one. I'm going to let you do that one on your own, and you'll figure out which one's right. But make sure you're aware that a dash can be used as a parenthetical phrase, just like a comma in a parenthetical phrase or parentheses. So be careful for that. They like to test you on this. If you're using it in this way, then you're using it one on one side and one on the other. You can't have one dash and it not be that shocking information and then just keep on talking after that. We have to have a period or something to stop it. When you see the dash info, that'll become more clear. The other one, oh yeah. All right, here it is. Look at B. Well, that's not exactly the best example of that. All right, the however, I was going to show you something. When you use however, I'll just turn the back of this page. If you use however and you have a semicolon, And I know you've seen this, and I promise you will encounter it. I was thinking that was the one. This is the only way it can be used. Semicolon, however, and comma. It's in those notes. It's in that video. Please know the rule on that, because they're going to test you on that. They're going to have a comma, however, comma. That's not right. It can't be right. There are some extreme instances where it might be, but it's very, very unusual. So please make sure that you're taking care of that. You know that one's wrong. If you have the semicolon after the however, it's automatically wrong. You're going to see those in there and be able to immediately eliminate. That's why I say go through those other things. There were a couple more I wanted to show you, like number 40. Look at number 40. If you want to just beside there, match the verb. That's what you've got to do in this particular one. You don't have the only option. You don't have a subject-verb agreement except in one answer. And I'm not going to give it to you. I want you to do that on your own. But this kind of thing, if you work on that free rice and do that English vocabulary, this will become much more straightforward to you. Much more straightforward. You'll be good to go. You'll see it. It'll jump out at you. And those are the ones you'll be able to do, say, 2 a minute, which gives you more time with the others. All right, I'm going to finish this up for today. What I want you to do is to answer those questions. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the answers. Let's see, I'll post it. I'm going to post it on the Google Classroom. Yeah, but for people who haven't seen it. So I'll post the answers in the Google Classroom. So go ahead and try to finish this. If you need to take a break now, I get it. We've been going strong, an hour and 10 minutes or so. Take a break. And then go back and answer all these ones. We only answered a few. I think you'll be surprised by how familiar this will feel to you now, because we've gone over some of these instances. It'll make it more familiar. I am going to, after we do this boot camp, when we finish next week, I'm going to give you another practice test that you're going to be able to do, and I want you to time yourself. So for now, don't worry about time. Let's just get that accuracy up. Okay, do I have any questions? I know I've done a lot of talking. I'd like to hear from you. So we're all good? Okay, we'll see you back tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Ms. Epperson will be working on the no calculator. So maybe sometime in the morning tomorrow, after you've worked this section, I want you to, the English reading, writing, language section, I want you to do those in the no calculator section, which is section 3. All right, thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be on the Zoom just for a few minutes tomorrow, but take care. I hope this was helpful for you. Feel free to let yourself out. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.